is entertainment business, man. Shouts to Leo. I've learned a lot of lessons from him. I don't agree with everything that a lot of people do and things like that, but he was one of the first people that gave me a position to be one of the biggest executives in the game at Warner Music Group. So I really ain't got too much bad to say about him. I more have something to say about myself by letting people like Dame and Killer trick me out of them positions when I had them power by making me feel less than when they would see me inside of them office. Like, oh, you working for these? Oh, you a dude boy. Oh, you a son. You ain't no boss. A boss don't work for nobody. But not understanding my position, how much power I had that I could move, and you know what I mean, in this game. You know what I mean.
Today we're diving into one of the most important conversations happening in the music industry right now, and it goes way beyond gossip or drama. Jim Jones recently opened up about something that every artist, entrepreneur, and creative should pay close attention to, and that's ownership and self-worth, and also understanding the value of your music catalog. In a recent interview, Jim Jones reflected on how he once let outside voices influence his decisions, especially when it came to his position in the business side of music. He talks about how comments from peers like Dame Dash and Cameron made him second guess himself when he was holding real executive power at Warner Music Group. But the real takeaway here isn't about placing blame at all. It's about the lessons. Because let's keep it 100. In this entertainment business, you can't afford to not know your worth. Whether you're signing record deals, building a personal brand, or negotiating ownership of your own intellectual property, one wrong move can cost you millions of dollars. And as Jim Jones puts it, it wasn't until later in life when people started selling their catalogs and cashing out that he realized he didn't even own his masters. Jim Jones signed such a crooked deal that he can never own his masters. Now that is a hard lesson in financial literacy, contract law, and the long-term value of your creative assets. We're not just talking about music. We're talking about generational wealth, legacy, and the importance of reading the fine print before you sign anything. Jim Jones also made it clear that he holds no resentment. In fact, he shows love to the people who were part of his journey, including Leor Cohen, Dame Dash, and Cameron. This isn't about beef. It's about growth. It's about recognizing the moments when we let our pride, our ego, or even peer pressure steer us away from what's best for our future. So whether you're an independent artist, a future executive, or somebody building a business from scratch, take this as a reminder. Know your position, know your value, and most importantly, own your own work. Now I'm about to play this clip for y'all, but before I do, I need you to like, leave your thoughts down below, and subscribe. Let's get into it.
You rap about the labels having, I don't want to say a certain responsibility, but I guess a certain responsibility. Mm-hmm. When you saw Leo's comments that he made up here a long time,
what he said?
He basically just was like, he got to eat too.
What he said?
He said he got to.
What he say?
He said he got to eat too. You know, in regards to people pushing the drug culture, the gang culture, whatever.
I mean, bro, nobody's twisting nobody's hand to do anything. You heard? This is entertainment business, man. Shouts to Leo. I've learned a lot of lessons from him. I don't agree with everything that a lot of people do and things like that. But he was one of the first people that gave me a position to be one of the biggest executives in the game at Warner Music Group. So I really ain't got too much bad to say about him. I more have something to say about myself by letting people like Dame and Killer trick me out of them positions when I had them power by making me feel less than when they would see me inside of them office. Like, oh, you working for these? Oh, you a dude boy. Oh, you a son. You ain't no boss. A boss don't work for nobody. But not understanding my position, how much power I had that I could move, and you know what I mean, in this game. You know what I mean? And it was things like that always kind of, you know what I mean. So there's a lot to it and shit like that. But shout out to Leo and them, man. You know what I mean? Like I ain't got nothing bad about nobody.
While you on the label stuff, I was watching another interview. You were talking about you're trying to get your masters back right now.
Yeah. I'm attempting to get my masters back. I signed the
Because you said y'all were independent, but y'all weren't independent?
We weren't independent. Koch was an independent label. Mm-hmm. You want to tell them what an independent label means? Or should I tell
You would know better than
Like,
that.
so like the
independent label
grassroots?
they wasn't a major label. It
Right.
was two different type of labels. They wasn't a major label. We, you know what I mean? So we signed to an independent label. We signed to a label. We got a real label deal, but we was making so much money, and the word independent was so alluring and things like that. They made it fit. It felt like we signed, but that's not really what we signed and things like that. It wasn't the independency of you see Slim Thug in Houston had when he was out the trunk, and it wasn't that. You know what I mean? It wasn't that at all. We might have thought it was that because we were getting so much money, but in that circle, I ended up signing a deal for my solo album, which I was happy for. But me still running through the street the way I was and entrusting my career business sense with my partner, I just wasn't into reading the contracts or understanding the business of it because you know how I felt we was moving and like that. And later on in life, when people start selling their catalogs and doing all this shit, getting their bag, I got a real catalog. Let's not get to that too. So when people are buying these masters and things like that, like I was like, oh, I could catch a busy off of it. I might could make my exit off of this, and then trying to get that together. And somebody like, whoa, your lawyer like, bro, you don't own your masters, bro, for life. So
For
it's
life?
What year was that you found that out? Because like
4 or 5 years ago.
wow.
So who owns them? Koch?
Oh, my heart just dropped.
Yes.
Cam too, or just
No, just
Okay.
Koch. I signed my rights to my masters over to Koch for the life term and shit like that. So
Is the president Alan still there? Because you had a great
Alan
relationship
is
with
out
Alan.
of there. It's not even called Koch. What's the name of it right now? Huh? Who? Mordock. But
So you don't even got a building to run up in. You
nah,
couldn't
there's a
even-
building. I got a VL deal with Peso up there. His album comes out next month that we signed up there and things like that. So, but they don't got nothing to do with what I signed back then. But you know, legally, and my lawyers starting to make calls and see what could be. You know what I mean?
Done.
So here's what I really take from everything Jim Jones said. This is way bigger than music. This is about ownership, self-awareness, and understanding your value in any industry, especially one like the entertainment industry where distractions and ego are everywhere. I don't think Jim Jones was throwing shade at all. I just think he was speaking from a place of growth. And honestly, that kind of honesty is rare in hip-hop. Too many people wait until they're out of the game to speak on this kind of stuff. He's speaking on it while he's still active, and that alone deserves some credit. Now let's talk about the business side for a second. Owning your masters is everything. We're in a time where intellectual property is one of the most valuable assets you can have. Your catalog isn't just about music. It's about leverage, and it's about equity. It's the difference between temporary success and financial freedom. When Jim Jones said he found out years later that he couldn't own his masters, that hit him hard because that's happening to a lot of artists right now, whether they realize it or not. And we got to keep it 100. It's easy to get caught up in the hype and peer validation and proving you're the boss. But being a boss is about making informed decisions, building real long-term wealth, and not letting pride talk you out of a seat at the table. The fact that Jim Jones had real power at a major label and let outside noise make him walk away from that? Now that's a lesson we can all learn from. It's not just in music. That applies to tech, real estate, content creation, whatever lane you're in. This conversation also reminded me about how important it is to build a team that understands contracts, understands licensing, and isn't just around for the lifestyle. One misstep in a contract could lock up your whole entire career or your family's financial future. That's why I always preach financial literacy and artist empowerment. Not because it sounds cool, but because the system is built to reward those who are informed, not just talented. Now again, I'm not saying that Dame Dash or Cameron were wrong for what they said back in the day. I just think that everybody was just moving based on what they knew at the time. That's why I say this wasn't about beef. It was just a moment where a young artist chose perception over position. And now, years later, he's looking back and sharing that perspective with us, so we don't make that same mistake. So if you're a creative, an artist, an entrepreneur, whatever you do, please don't sleep on this. Take control of your intellectual property. Read your contracts, ask questions, keep your emotions in check when it comes to your business. Because when the spotlight fades, when the applause stops, The only thing that's going to keep you good is what you own. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this story down below in the comment section. And make sure you like and subscribe. Peace.